Welcome back to Tea and Anime Tuesday. I am still drinking my Japanese barley tea or mugicha because I've been recording this all on the same day. I just decided to split it up into two videos because it was getting really long. Anyway, go ahead and watch part one of this video if you haven't already. Everything will make a little more sense. In this part of the video, I'm going to go into the specific controversies, what the fans were getting up in arms about with these new Netflix subtitles of Evangelion. In part one, I talked about my general impressions, how all the characters were translated, went over some differences between localized translations and literal translations with some actual examples from Dan Kanemitsu's subtitles. So check out part one if you haven't seen it already. And if you have seen it already, let's continue. And now that brings us to Kaworu. So I have problems with Kaworu. Not just the way he was translated or whatever, but just how he was written in the Japanese episode. He needed more than one episode, really, when it all comes down to it. It was one of those classic examples of that escalated quickly with Kaworu. He was in that one episode. That was not enough for the development that they needed for Kaworu himself, for Kaworu and Shinji's relationship. It was way too fast, way too rushed. And there was not nearly enough time to explore him or his relationship with Shinji, so there was just really little impact when Shinji killed him. And then after Shinji killed Kaworu, and he was all being sad and emo about it, Shinji was like, "Kaoru-kun ga suki da tte itte kureta." And this was subtitled as, "Kaoru said I was worthy of his grace." And that was referencing a line that Kaworu had said earlier, which is koi. Not to be confused with koi, by the way. That is a different word. Short vowel, koi, versus koi. Koi means like romantic sexual love. Koi means like a goodwill, kind of friendship, but like goodwill. And that is what Kaworu had said before about Shinji, and it was subtitled as like worthy of my grace. And then Shinji said, "Nobody said they liked me before." So yeah, let's open up this Kaworu can of worms. So a lot of you guys might not be old enough to know or remember this, but I remember. Okay, back in the 90s when I was first getting into anime, Eva was huge. It was like Eva, Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z. Those were like the anime, but really like Eva was huge. When I went to Anime Expo, my first con in '98, so many Eva cosplayers. Like everyone was Rei or Asuka or Kaoru, not really any Shinjis there, but there was like those three, and there was even, I think, best in show in the costume contest was Gendo Ikari and the giant like Pen. Somebody was like dressed in this gigantic mascot Pen costume. But yeah, Eva was huge. And I was on some like message boards and mailing lists that were anime related at the time. And even back then, anime fans had complaints about how Kaworu was translated, how that whole Kaworu x Shinji homoerotic relationship was handled. And even back then, fans, when Kaworu said koi in the subtitles, they're like, "He was saying koi, which is romantic sexual love, and they didn't translate it that way. How dare they?" And it's like, yeah, that's a classic case of anime fans who think that they know Japanese, who don't really know Japanese. And this is kind of another case of that. I'm sorry to say. A lot of this outrage is caused by people that just don't know the Japanese language as well as they think they do. So I'm gonna explain it. And like, I don't blame these fans for getting really angry and upset about like the differences, like when they're looking at the ADV sub and Kaoru said when Kaoru uses ski to talk to Shinji, it's like, "It means I like you," and it was subbed as "it means I love you" in the ADV version that people grew up with, and now it's subtitled as "it means I like you." Like, I can understand like people being pretty upset about that. Even without an intimate knowledge of Japanese, because it's like that was very significant. That whole relationship, that whole episode was very significant for Shinji, very significant for the themes of the show. So it's very important the way that that is worded. So I'm not saying that like the complaints are trivial at all. I'm just saying that they're misinformed. So ski. Let's look at that. Ski, as I mentioned in another video, it's an adjective actually. It means favorable, really. It can mean favorite, but generally just means favorable. Skina hon means like a book that I like, a favorable book. Skina ongaku is like music that I like, a favorable tune. Skina hito, however, like when you're applying it to a person, skina hito, usually that phrase skina hito means like my crush, my person, like that I like in kind of a romantic, datey kind of way. Doesn't necessarily mean I love this person though. Let's be more specific there. Whereas they have a word for love, which is ai, which means like it's kind of more like agape love, but it's also like deep love. So that's a step up from ski. Ski is not the end-all be-all. It's like in English, love is kind of the end-all be-all. It's like you can't really get much higher than love in the hierarchy of like having favorable feelings for a person. And then in Japanese, as I mentioned before, they also have the word koi, which means specifically romantic sexual love. So it's like if I say, ano hito ni koi o shiteru, that means like I am in love with that guy, that gal, that person. But ano hito ga suki, or kimi ga suki, it doesn't necessarily mean like I love that person or I love you. It is a little more ambiguous. And if you look at Dan Kanemitsu, like he actually chimed in, because people asked and people were outraged, and he chimed in on why he chose to translate it as like instead of love. And he's like, well, because ski is kind of vague. It isn't love. It is not. It can kind of imply I have romantic feelings for you. I have feelings for you. Usually I like to translate kimi ga suki as I have feelings for you. Because it keeps a bit of that ambiguity. I have feelings for you. It's expressing, I would like to date you, my heart flutters when I'm around you, but I'm not saying I love you, all right? And that's kind of what ski is. And I could even say kimi ga suki or anata ga suki to a person that I don't have any romantic feelings for. Just like I can say in English, in America, I can say, I love so-and-so. Like, oh, I love Maria. Like, my friend Maria. Like, oh, I love her. It's like I could say that. And I'm not like saying, I love her. Like, I'd die for her and have babies with her and stuff. It's like, it's very different. So that's another thing. In Japan, they don't just throw around the word love a lot at all. It's like you never tell people you love them. You never say to someone, aishiteru in Japan. Traditionally, you don't. I mean, maybe now they're using it a little bit more, but especially back then when Eva was made in the 90s, nah, you don't just tell someone aishiteru. You don't just throw that around casually. In English, in America in particular, we throw around the L word a lot. We tell people we love them a lot, but this is not a thing in Japan. Having said all of that, though, I still don't think that having Kaworu say that he likes Shinji in that scene, I don't think that quite works. I think the worthy of my grace part for koi, I think that one works just fine, but the ski being translated as like in that, I don't quite think that works, because I don't think that it's erasing any like homoerotic feelings between the two of them. I don't think that it's erasing that at all. And it's like kind of hard to erase that when you can see how Shinji's blushing around Kaworu and stuff. It's like he clearly is feeling something for Kaworu. And like Kaworu just met Shinji. Again, I'm so annoyed that it's like one episode. It's like he just met him. It's like you're a psycho if you tell someone I love you when you barely even know them and you just met them. I don't know. So I don't think I like you is right, and I also don't think I love you is quite right for that scene either. I agree with Dan Kanemitsu that it needs a bit of ambiguity to it, but I disagree that like is the proper term for that. I don't think that that presents the right kind of ambiguity. I think that like I like you, it almost makes it sound a little too trivial. It also makes it sound a little bit too much like they're like 12 years old or something, like, I like you, let's go out. Yeah, it's not quite there. And then later, also, when Shinji says, like, no one's ever told me they like me before, to an American ear, that sounds, like, ridiculous. Like, no one's ever told you they like you? It's like, no one's ever told me they love me before. That would resonate with an American audience. To be never told that you're loved. Because, like, all of us have been told, you know, for the most part, by our parents that they love us. Japanese kids have not been told necessarily by their parents that they love them. Again, it's just not used in Japan like it is in the United States. I can't speak for other English-speaking countries, but in the United States, it's quite common. It's like, my parents told me they love me all the time. It's like very common over here. So yeah, that would really resonate with us, with a North American audience, and hit us in the feels if Shinji says, no one's ever told me they love me before, whereas no one's ever told me they like me before is kind of like, like that. I call bullshit. It's like, of course people have told you they like you. So that part's weird if you use like. And then later, in the end of Evangelion, I need therapy. Kaworu also brings it up again. He uses ski again. When he and Rei appear to Shinji sort of as apparitions, and he's like, "What? Who are you guys?" And Rei is like, "We're hope." And then Kaworu says, "And we're also like the words that say I love you." Yeah, and the Japanese was 好きだ toいう言葉とともにね. And ski, again, he used the word ski, and it was subtitled that time as love instead of like, so it's inconsistent as well on top of all that. So yeah, there is a problem with the way that Kaoru's whole ski was translated. So like doesn't quite work, love doesn't quite work. So I think you have to go a little more abstract and go with something more like, it means that you're special. It means that you make me happy, or it means that you light up my life. Something like that. And then insert that into the other scenarios. Shinji says, wow, like he told me I'm special. No one has ever told me I'm special before. That would resonate. I don't know if it's true or not. Maybe you'd have to like go back in the anime and look and see if anyone told him he is special. I think somebody probably did tell him he was special because only you can pilot that Eva. But you know, something along those lines I think would have been best instead of I like you or I love you. I think something a little more abstract like you light up my life, you make me happy, you give my life meaning, you make my heart flutter. Something like that I think would have been a lot better. You make my heart flutter is a little too much leaning towards the obviously romantic, but I think something a little more ambiguous and in between, and more descriptive than just like or love. I think that would have worked a lot better than like. So now on to the I'm so fucked up controversy. Now, in this case, this is another case where the fans preferred it localized, actually, which that makes me happy. I'm really happy when fans prefer things localized. So, the scene is, it's in the end of Evangelion. I need therapy. And Asuka's like on life support, comatose, but she's also topless because she's in a hospital bed. Shinji's like, hey, help me, Asuka, wake up, Asuka, help me, Asuka, and flips her over, sees that she's topless, and jerks off and comes into his hands, and then he falls apart and says, Saite. That is translated as, I'm the lowest of low in the new Netflix translation, and in the original ADV, it was translated as, I'm so fucked up. So again, this is a case where the fans are preferring the localized one, the I'm so fucked up. That is localized, and that is a really good example of great localization. I'm the lowest of low, that is literal. Saite means lowest. Lowest of low. That's literally what Shinji was saying, is I'm the lowest of low. But yeah, what he was really saying is I'm so fucked up. And that hits super well in that moment. Because yeah, as an audience member, I'm thinking, this is fucked up. So when he says that, I'm just like, yeah, you are fucked up. So yeah, I agree with the fans, with the outraged fans there, and that I think I'm so fucked up is better. I'm sure, and I have encountered this as well, Dan Kanemitsu was probably told, hey, you're not allowed to drop F-bombs in your translations. I'm not allowed to drop F-bombs in my translations either, even if they would fit perfectly. And yeah, that's an example of where an F-bomb fits perfectly. But he's not allowed to use one, so you can't say, I'm so fricked up, or some, you know, tamed, toned down, less profane version of that. I'm so messed up though, I think that would have worked just fine. And I think it would have been better than I'm the lowest of low. first children, second children, third children controversy. Yes, I think that it should not have been kept in the way that they were saying it in Japanese. First children, second children. It just sounds weird in English to be like, the first children is here and it's one child. So yeah, I agree with the outraged fans there. That should have been subtitled as first child, second child, third child instead of children. Like, what are they, Chef from South Park?
Now, children, every problem can be worked out.
And lastly, the fly me to the moon controversy, since we're at the end of this video. Yeah, fans were outraged that instead of the ending theme song being Fly Me to the Moon, it was just some background music. And my take is, I don't really care. I was never a fan of that song. It's just not my kind of music. I was always confused as a younger fan. I did see the series when I was a teenager, and I was always confused by that song. I thought it didn't go with the series. As an adult now, I can kind of see how it goes with the series. But yeah, not my aesthetic. Don't really like that kind of music. And I didn't really see how it fit with the series anyway, so I personally don't really care. But I can sympathize because I love Zankoku no Tenshi no Teize. That's like one of my favorite songs of all time. No exaggeration. If they'd changed that song or taken that song out, I would have been up in arms, so I can understand and sympathize with the fans who are upset with Fly Me to the Moon being changed. So that was my very long-winded breakdown and evaluation of Dan Kanemitsu's translations of Eva. And again, for the most part, it was good, you guys. People are just focusing and obsessing over like the few examples of like where, yeah, there were kind of some mistranslations, not mistranslations, but bad localizations. But looking at the bigger picture, it's good. Go ahead and watch Eva on Netflix. It's not bad, it's good. And it is a great way to experience Evangelion. Evangelion itself, it's like, I don't know, I think it's a little overrated, to be honest. It gets a little too deep when it's like questionably deep. But yeah, to each their own. And if you like cerebral stuff, go ahead and check out Eva. Bye! My camera's dying. I need therapy.